He's a scientist focusing on physics. Hey everyone, I'm Benjamin, and this is my book club. I just finished Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't think it was this unique, mind-blowing experience that I've seen the reviews sometimes say, but I did think it was a well-told, tight sci-fi mystery thriller that I really enjoyed. And I've just found out that there's a TV show coming out next week. So that's really exciting. I think it's coming out on Apple TV. So I'm going to watch that as well when it comes out. But let's just see what I thought of the book and what I'm hoping for from the show. Jumping right in with the stuff that I really liked. First off, reading Dark Matter really reminded me of reading Project Hail Mary and The Martian by Andy Weir. This sort of accessible, science-based science fiction, problem-solving mystery thriller sort of stories, where, you've got your scientist main character, where, you've got Watney, or in this one, you've got Jason Desson, dealing with scientific problems in fairly logical ways, where they learn what's going on, propose solutions, and test. And look, I really love those sort of books. Any of those sort of books are fantastic, and I want more suggestions like that. I think they make fantastic, accessible entry points into sci-fi. They're these sort of big books that deal with giant mind-bending, mind-altering, blowing ideas, but in a way that explains them, brings them down so anyone can understand them, and can understand what's happening, and can follow along with the story. And this is one of the most approachable books like that I've ever seen, similar to The Martian and Project Hail Mary. And I think it's become a very easy suggestion to people that are trying to get into sci-fi, as, tell them to go read Dark Matter. I think they're going to enjoy it. I really like our main character, Jason Desson. He's a charismatic scientist, used to focus on physics and quantum physics, but now he's given up. He was at the forefront of his field, but he's given up that career in favor of a family, and he lives with his wife and his son, and he comes off as a really sympathetic figure right away. In the very first chapter, there's talk about how he knows, he hasn't reached his full potential scientifically and career-wise, but that's fine. He has a wife that he loves, he has a son that he loves, and he loves his family and he loves his life. And that comes across as a really heartwarming person. It's the sort of person you'd love to sit down with, have a drink with and have a chat with. And the way that he responds to the actions in this book are almost always logical. They make sense, they're sympathetic, they're believable for the character that he's set up as being. And I think he's really well written for the most part. Seeing through Desson's mind as he encounters the problems he sees in this book, it's really fun in these sort of books coming along for the problem-solving situations, where we see the problem get presented to our character, they think it through, try and figure out the hypothesis and some solutions, and then test them as we go. And the ideas at the play in this book are really quite intense, with multiverses, alternate lives, different realities, and they're explored really well, and they're explored in a way that makes them make sense to me, and to, I think, anyone else that reads this. I don't think you're going to have too much trouble grasping what's going on. And I think it's because of Jason Desson, how well written he is, and being lodged in his head for this book, him exploring these ideas through his lens as a former, world-class physicist, helps us understand them much better, much easier. And it's great coming along for the sort of problem-solving ride with a character like this. And while, as I said, I don't think this is a particularly unique idea in sci-fi storytelling, I've seen it before, the ideas of multiverses and alternate lives and, branching timelines and whatnot is fascinating. It's a really interesting thought experiment, and it's done really well here, and it's explored in a really interesting way. There are, however, a few things that I didn't love. First off would be the sort of twists in the book, and they're fine, but I thought they were pretty predictable. There was nothing new here as far as stories go that have to do with multiverses and whatnot. If you've read multiverse stories, or you've seen them in games or shows, or movies, you've seen these twists and turns and reveals. They're always fairly similar. There was nothing here that was new in that regard, I don't think. But it is executed to a really high degree here, which makes it really entertaining to read. The thing that kind of annoyed me the most, though, and kind of drew me out of the book for a large portion of it, was our main character, Jason Desson's response to kind of the start of the problems. Right from the start, the situation he's in, it takes him hundreds of pages, it feels like, before he even starts to contemplate what actually happened and what's actually going on. when it's just immediately obvious. And I know it's easy to see these things from the outside rather than as the character, but it takes him too long to even consider the possibility of what's exactly going on. And I just found it so frustrating of seeing him explore the idea of what's going on without getting anywhere close to the real thing, because it just seemed so obvious to me. And I felt like the character was put out as way smarter than he comes across at the start of the book. I'm certain I'm not being sensitive enough to this character. He's gone through a very traumatic experience. But the figuring out solutions and the exploring part of the book is so much better than the first little section of the book, where he's trying to figure out what's going on, even though it's super obvious, that it just really frustrates me that bit could have been cut down so much and still be super believable, and we could have fleshed out a bit more. Speaking of fleshing out a bit more, it's this section, the exploring the multiverses sort of thing, I would have loved so much more of. There's not nearly enough of that in this book for me. There's some, and what's there is great, but I would have loved double, triple that length. Some of it gets glossed over, some of it gets skipped entirely, and I was really disappointed because that's the bit that I read this book for. Those are the ideas and the exploration of those ideas that made me want to read the book, and I just wish that first bit of the book got cut down by like half or to a third, and then this bit got expanded massively. And look, I suppose this last one's on me. I did watch a few reviews on BookTube, and I read a few reviews on Goodreads before I jumped into this one. It comes really highly recommended as this like mind-blowing, unique experience, and I thought it was really good. I thought it was a tight, well-told story, but I feel like I've read it before. I feel like I've played it before and watched it before. I feel like any story that goes through this sort of multiverse, time line sort of stuff is gonna cross a lot of the same territory. And while I haven't read this exact story before, I've read all the different bits, I think. And Blake Crouch has done a fantastic job of stitching all those pieces and ideas together here into a really exciting book. But I was expecting to have my mind just blown. And I wasn't. I just had a very enjoyable read. As for a rating, look, in the end, I found the book thrilling, which is, surely the goal for a thriller. It was fun, enjoyable. I loved the characters, but nothing that kind of blew me away totally. I didn't come away with an urge to reread it again to see what I missed. I think it's fairly upfront with the story it's telling. There's not many layers. There's not many secrets to try and prize out of the prose. I think this is a great book to suggest to someone that's newer to sci-fi. But for me, having spent my entire adult life and most of my childhood reading sci-fi, watching sci-fi, playing sci-fi games, experiencing sci-fi in every medium I can find it, these ideas aren't new to me. The execution of them is excellent, but the outcomes are all things I've seen before in other mediums. Overall, it didn't scratch the exact itch I was looking for, but it's a fantastic read, and I do recommend you read it. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Okay, finally, I do have some wishlist items for the show that I'm really hoping we see more of, or hoping there's some small changes. I've seen the trailer now, and from the trailer it does look like they are willing to make some minor changes at least. There's some things in the trailer that are definitely different than they are in the book. So I'm really excited to watch it next week, and I think I'm going to watch it as soon as it comes out. I don't know if I'll do a video on it or not, but let me know in the comments if you want to hear my thoughts on it. I think the story can be told a bit differently in that medium that will make it a really good show. First off, as I said in the book review, I'm really hoping for some more multiverse exploring. I'm really hoping we spend a lot more time exploring different worlds and different timelines. Just seeing how it goes, seeing the different effects, seeing how it affects our characters, and just, surely in a visual medium, we can do that, a bit quicker than it would take to explain it in the book and still have the same impact. And we can kind of explore, I'm hoping, at least twice as many sort of things as we did in the book. And then the only other two are to do with some characters. I really hope we see more from Amanda. I really liked her in the book, but I felt like she could have been explored a bit better. She could have been maybe a little bit more empowered. She was a strong character, but she could have done a bit better, I think. And I would love a better sort of character arc for her. And then the other one is I'd love to see more from Destin's wife, and I'd love to see more from her experiences during the time the book is taking place. We see a little bit of it in the book, but I'd love to really flesh that out some more and see, how Destin's family is dealing with the situation. So there you have it. That's Dark Matter by Blake Crouch and the upcoming TV show. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this book. If you've got any suggestions of things along this line, You know, stuff like Dark Matter, stuff like The Martian, stuff like Project Hail Mary. I'd love to hear it. I'm really enjoying that sort of style of book. Are you going to watch the TV show? Are you excited for it? Let me know. If you want to check out any of my other book reviews, my sci-fi review playlist should be right up here. If you want to pick up a copy of Dark Matter for yourself, I have an Amazon affiliate link in the description below. And if you enjoyed the video, I'd love if you could leave a like. But most of all, just remember to keep reading.